Round two shaping up for Johnson versus Feingold. As we reported at the top of this broadcast, Democrat Russ Feingold announced today he is running to regain his Senate seat he lost to Republican Ron Johnson in 2010.
2016 is a presidential race, so the terrain is going to be a lot different than it was in 2010. That was a midterm election. With more on the upcoming race is the director of the Marquette Law School poll, Charles Frankling. Great to see you again. You've already polled on this race.
We did. We did it in early April, April 10th, and our result was that Feingold was at 54, Johnson at 38, with 9% undecided. So that was quite an advantage for Feingold just beginning to come back in here. And we also saw that it reflected some differences in the public awareness of these two candidates. 39% said they didn't know enough about Ron Johnson to have an opinion of him. Only 26% said that of Feingold, even though Feingold's been out of office and out of the state for most of the last 4 or 5 years. So there's some differences there.
That's pretty surprising, those numbers, the recognition.
The recognition is a little surprising. For contrast, Tammy Baldwin is not recognized by 23%, yet Senator Johnson's been in a little bit longer. Now, the one thing to put that in perspective is that most senators actually do drop off in name recognition after their election, only to then surge back up in recognition when they run for re-election. Still, Senator Johnson has had an awful lot of national media exposure during the first few years of his term. That hasn't translated into very widespread recognition here in the state.
I was going to follow up with that. Is it the recognition, or is it that people maybe don't like what he's doing?
Well, it's a little bit of both. The recognition certainly pulls down his numbers simply because people don't have an opinion. But on favorable or unfavorable views of those who have an opinion, Senator Johnson has a net +3 favorable over unfavorable. But Senator Feingold has a +21 on that same measure. So that's quite an advantage for Feingold at this point. The one thing, though, to point out is that when Tommy Thompson got in the race for the Senate in January of 2012, he had a net favorable of 18, very similar to Feingold's. And, of course, he went on to lose that race, finishing the year with a -14 favorability rating. So where you start is by no means a guarantee of where you're going to end up.
How different is 2016 to 2010?
Well, there's quite a difference. If you look at the 4 races Feingold ran for the Senate, he got 53% and 55% in the 2 presidential races, presidential years, and he got 51 and 47 in the 2 midterms. So take out the race he lost, and there's still about a 3-point difference between the midterm and the average of the 2 presidentials, all in the 3 races that he won. And that, I think, is in line with the kinds of estimates we see about midterm versus presidential. On the other hand, again, presidential years are not an absolute guarantee for Democrats. 2016 may shape up to be a pretty good year for Republicans nationwide, simply based on the fact that the president's party has failed to hold on to the White House for a 3rd term in all of the elections except one since World War II.
FDR.
So there's a little
FDR.
bit of an up. Yeah, well, actually, it was George Herbert Walker Bush in '88 who held in for a 3rd term following Reagan, but no other party has held, or presidential candidate has held the White House for that 3rd term. And again, history is not a guarantee of the future, but it's certainly a cautionary tale of the story that presidential years are necessarily better for Democrats.
Only 18 months to go.
Yeah.
Only 18 more months.
We'll see you again before
And now we
then.
have 2 interesting races to watch.
As we do. Thank you, Charles.
Thank you.
Interesting as always. We'll see you soon. We're going to check back in with Susan at the Verona Culvers and the effort benefiting Susan G. Coleman, South Central Wisconsin.
Plus, the guys from Sidelines take the air out of Deflategate. Their take on Tom Brady's suspension and appeal next on Live at 5.
On the next News 3 this morning, it's a busy weekend ahead on campus.